Whoa, gotta lock that door. Jeez, people have gone crazy out there. Hey everyone, this is Hurst Quayzar, and you are in Quayzar's Customs. Today we're doing something just a little bit different. Yeah, I had to lock the door because, I mean, the world has gone a little bit crazy right now because of the coronavirus that's going around. So everyone's in lockdown, everyone's a little bit stir crazy. But a couple of things. Some people have asked about taking a look at my parking levels to see what I have in all my garages. So that's what we're going to do today. Don't never mind this Corvette over here, the C1 Corvette by Gollywog. This is to replace the white one that I did in the movie series, because this one has 129,000 miles on it, and the one I built in the video had 190,000 miles on it. So this is going to be a replacement of that one in the movie series, and we will be seeing that shortly. So without further ado, I guess we will go, and we're going to go take a look. We're going to take a look at 4 levels. The first 4 will be the Fast and Furious cars, and the last 4 will be the movie series cars. Now, I'm only going to show 4 levels of each. I do have cars on a couple other levels, but they're not finished yet, and I don't want to spoil it for you guys, or you know what I mean. So let's take a look at parking level number 1, and we'll just run through it. All right, look at the goodies we have right here. All right, this is my this is the first level of my Fast and Furious collection. We have Dom Toretto's RX-7. Of course, we've got Brian O'Connor's Eclipse here. It's a nice little car. Over here, it was I forget whose car these are. I know this is Mia's. This is Mia's car, and this is one of the other gang that rang with the Toretto bunch. And then, of course, you know these 2 famous cars from the very end of the Fast and Furious movie. The very end, you know, you have the O'Connor Supra, and you have the Dominic Toretto Charger, right? 2 beautiful cars, and this one even has a little bit of neon underneath of it, which really makes it stand out. All right, into the Fast and Furious 2, we've got Suki's pink S200 and Brian O'Connor's Nissan Skyline GTR. These cars are just awesome to build. Also, you have the Musclehead brothers. We have the Challenger, the orange Challenger, and the Yanko Camaro, 69 Camaro. From Fast and Furious 2, we skip over to Fast and Furious 4. Now, you may ask why I did that. When I did the series, I had asked at the very beginning, should I do it chronologically or do it the way the movies came out? And I was told, the vote was overwhelming to do it chronologically. So here it goes: Fast and Furious 2, or Too Fast, Too Furious. Then we have Fast and Furious 4, right? Fast and Furious 4 starts out with Dominic Toretto and the group stealing gasoline. So he was in this black GTX. Eventually we find out that Letty was killed, and then he comes back into Los Angeles in this nice Chevelle. So we've got those 2 cars in the Fast and Furious 4 movie. Now let's jump over to the next level. Alrighty, coming right off of Fast and Furious 4, we've got the blue Nissan Skyline that he drove in there. This is the one he was racing against that silver Chevelle that we just came across. Then, of course, we have the F-bomb. Gotta love the F-bomb. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite cars is this one right here from the movie, and yeah, that's pretty badass, isn't it? So there you go. There's the F-bomb from Fast and Furious 4. Now, at the end of 4, we find out that, well, in 4, you know, Brian O'Connor is trying to become an FBI agent again, and of course Dominic Toretto helps Brian get the bad guy in the movie, right? And I think Dom was tired of running at that time. At that point, he was tired of running, but Brian thought he could save his friend by, telling the court about all the good things that Dominic did, and lo and behold, the courts were not in his favor. So these three cars, at the end of 4 and at the beginning of 5. Okay, so these three cars were in 2 movies, at the end of 4 and at the beginning of 5. So if you didn't stick around for the end of 4, you missed out. So at the end of 4, Dominic Toretto's in a bus. They're taking him away to the prison. Brian O'Connor's running him down in this Charger right here. Mia Toretto, Mia Toretto, gets in front of the bus and plays chicken with the bus, makes the bus spin sideways. Brian O'Connor gets in front of the bus, jabs on the brakes, and the bus flips over the car. Really cool. And then we have the 2 cousins or the 2 brothers that were doing the oil scam, stealing the fuel oil in the Dominican Republic. They were driving this Firebird. So yeah, these 3 cars were in 2 of the movies. So at the end of 4, beginning of 5, which was pretty awesome. And then we find at the very beginning of 5, Mia Toretto and Brian O'Connor rumbling around in the streets of Brazil in this skyline. They come upon a job, and this is one of the cars that was in a train that they were going to heist, and they actually heisted. Then they ended up, finding out that Dominic Toretto knew there was something up with this car, so he had Mia drive it off and take it back to the hideout, and they found out they had a chip, and this guy, like the president of the country, was stealing money or whatever. So he had like $100 million or $100 million stashed of this country's money, and it was all his. So in the preparation of trying to steal this money back from the country's leader, they're trying to find fast cars, and they go out into the streets, street racing, and they bring back this GT3 RS. Of course, I think it was either Tej or Roman Pierce that called it Papa Smurf car. Where'd you get the car from, Papa Smurf? And then at the end, we have Han, who was in Fast and Furious 4 as one of the oil stealing guys with Dominic's group. At the end of 4, he said he was going to go to Tokyo, but this was at the end of 5. Him and Gail, I don't know how you spell her name or how you say her name. Anyway, he picked up the girl from Fast 4. Fast 4 or yeah, Fast 4. Okay, so I was trying to think. Okay, so him and her got hooked up, and they're driving on the Autobahn, I believe, in this nice LFX Lexus. This is one of my favorite cars, to be honest. I should say LFA. This is by Lit, and this is just an awesome car. I like it. So at the end of the movie, they showed him and her driving off into the sunset, and then you have Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor again, right? They're sitting drinking Coronas on the beach, and Brian O'Connor says, I still want a shot, because when they were in Brazil, they were racing police cars, and he thought he had beaten Dom, and everyone said Dom lifted at the very end so that Brian could win. It was like $1 million $1 million drag race is what it was. So, you know, Brian felt like he was cheated, so he wanted another shot. So they take these two cars out and start racing it. So Dom, again with his Dodge, this is a Hellcat. Now, of course, it had Hemi on the side of his. I could not do that with this because I don't have just don't have the livery for it. But I thought that looked pretty cool with the Hellcat. And then, of course, you've got the GTR of Brian's in silver that he was racing him with. And this is also, these two cars are also at the end of 5 and at the very beginning of 6. And at the beginning of 6, they're racing to the streets to find out that Mia is, you know, had just given birth. And that's when Hobbs happens to find Dominic Toretto and asks him, you know, to help him out in the London against this London crew. And that's because they figured out that Letty was still alive. So, the very beginning of 6, you know, we've got these two racing, and then you see Dominic Toretto. I want to say her name is Elena. So, Dominic Toretto is sleeping with Elena, who he met in Fast and Furious 4 while running from... Oh no, he ran in 5. While he was running from the police there and the FBI. So this Hobbs recruits him, and Hobbs gives him these BMWs to help him track down this group of mercenaries or whatever, and they basically get their butts kicked because these things get shot with some electronic device onto the hood right here, and it screws up the car's electronics and it flips out the brakes or the steering or whatever. So yeah. So that's that. Alright, well, carrying on with Fast and Furious 6. Of course, we have the what I call this the Barstow Mustang, right? Because this was one that I have actually edited, and this is Roman Pierce. This was the Mustang Roman Pierce was driving, and he put his car in front of a tank to try to stop it, but you know, that didn't help. Of course, Dom and his Chargers. Now, my videos, I actually did a what was it, the Magnum Superbird, I believe it was. I called it. It was an edit vanilla car. And after I had done it, I had mentioned something on the Discord channel, and they said, "Oh, there's a Daytona Superbird in the workshop." I was like, "You got to be kidding me! How stupid could I be?" So, so I happened to look, and lo and behold, there was a Superbird there, and so I did a little customization of it. I put the full-blown Hemi in it. I lowered the stance round on it a little bit, and I did call this. I don't think I called it anything, but that is, you know, Dominic's red Charger that we used. That he crashes into the wall to go save Letty. And we have Brian O'Connor's Ford Escort. Big shout out to Dead Bob 777 for this car, because this is again one of my favorite cars that's in the movie, and I was so happy that he put this out. I grabbed it, built it, and this was built not too long ago, just because it was just recently put out. So I've got that going. Next car is a newer Dodge Charger. At the end of the movie, Dom drives this thing out of the plane, out through the nose of the plane, basically, to get away from the plane that's crashing. And then he flips it, and everyone thinks he's dead. But he emerges from the flames, and with this box, with this microchip in it, gives it back to Hobbs, and Hobbs is very happy and grants them all asylum. So everybody is free, right? Everyone is free. They can go home. And because they go home, Han decides to finally, well, during the whole police, or the whole plane scene, Han's girl dies, unfortunately. So Han decides to go to Tokyo. Oh yeah, and here's Han's car, right? So Han is in Tokyo. He's got this nice veil side, and of course it's Tokyo Drift, and it's all about the drift scene in Tokyo. And of course he's got there's all kinds of underlying dealings there, and you have the American kid shows up. That's a big troublemaker back home. And speaking of which, there I am waiting for a 1970 Monte Carlo. I know it's a work in progress right now. I believe Nick's workshop is working on it right now. I can't wait to get that. That will be added to this level, definitely, once it gets done. So the American kid also, Han gives him this. This is Mona Lisa. Don't know why it's called Mona Lisa, but it was called Mona Lisa. And he basically terrorizes this thing, destroys it. But in the end, his dad is an ex-Navy guy. He's got this nice little Mustang, and he puts this. Yeah, don't laugh. I mean, all right, this was an edit. I couldn't tell. I don't remember. Geez, who's? I don't know all the modders' names, but I took this and I put the inline six in it with an exhaust system. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but this was the drift car that he used at the end of the movie. Now, this right here was going to be, this is a 370Z, and I have it kind of here as a placekeeper right now, because what I thought this was the Drift King. They call him DK, the Drift King in the movie. But a little more research, I found out that it was a Nissan 350Z, not a 370Z, and it was called a Fair Lady. So if this is a little bit different than the one that's in the movie. I may or may not do it right now. It's just sitting there. Let me know in the comments what you think, and maybe I'll get it built. So at the very, very end of the movie, Dominic Toretto shows up in this nice little Roadrunner, and this was called Hammer. If you look it up on the internet, it is called Hammer, and this was a Plymouth Roadrunner DLC that I had taken and I had edited and called it Hammer. Basically, I've lowered it, and I think I may have stuck a different engine into it. I'm not sure. I think for the most part it's just lowered. So going in from like I said, this was at the very end of 3. So Toretto makes an appearance there. So what happens? We get into Fast and Furious 7. All right, Fast and Furious 7. They find out Han's been killed. At the very end of 3, Han gets killed. They find out Han gets killed, and they basically have a package on the porch of Dom Toretto's house, and it blows up. And well, they say Dom says he's going to go get Han, bring him home, and then during the funeral, what is Deckard Shaw? Is let's see, the brother of the last movie was anyway. Dominic Toretto uses this Roadrunner to run into the guy, and he has a Deckard Shaw's car, and the other car is pretty well reinforced. This car in particular, this Roadrunner, is just a straight up DLC 426 Hemi DLC Roadrunner, just with some niceties. So you can tell the difference in between these two. How much lower I put the Hammer as compared to the normal DLC. So yeah, they're basically the same car. During that movie, during a chase scene, you got Brian O'Connor in another blue GTR. Roman Pierce was driving this. This is an in-game car. This is a Bolt Chapman I named it Roman Pierce because I changed some stuff on it. I had modified it. I had edited it in the editor. I've actually lowered it a little bit and put a wider stance wheel behind it, uh, underneath of it, and um, that was in the one of the final chase scenes in the movie. So let's hop on over to the last garage. So at the very beginning of episode 7 in Fast and Furious, Letty is driving this Barracuda. And this is one that I was hoping to get a livery for. I wanted the stripe along the side here, which we had the AAA CUDA emblem right back here. I never could get it figured out, and this is a DLC as well. During one of the end scenes, you have Dominic Toretto and Deckard Shaw up on the roof of this parking garage, and this Aston Martin was again reinforced, and again, you know, Dominic Toretto has this Dodgecharger. Now this one was a little bit different, only because that if you watch the movie, it has different wheels on it, and this is pretty close to what was on it. Same style car, not a whole lot of change except for, you know, it was just different wheels on it. The very end of the movie, during the filming of 7, Paul Walker had passed away due to an actual car accident. So at the very end of 7, Dominic Toretto decides to leave, and while Paul Walker and Mia, while Brian and Mia are out on the beach, so Dom Toretto leaves in this charger called Maximus. This again is a download content car. It's a DLC. Another file that I have edited. I put some massive rear wheels underneath the back of it, and tried to get the horsepower up as much as possible. I put this huge what appears to be an LS3 type engine in it, to get the horsepower numbers out of it. I still couldn't get as much as I wanted to. I wanted it at least 2,000, but I got the 1565 on it instead. But you know, once Brian figures out that he left, and he shows up in this white Toyota Supra, very similar to the orange one in the very first movie. And if you did not know, the white Supra, the way they ended this movie was really great, because when they left the line, you know, Brian went one way, Dominic Toretto went the other, and I think it was very suiting that they used this white Supra one, just because the color itself resembled purity, and just being Paul Walker was a great guy all around, and he really loved his cars, so it made him even more believable in the movies, because he was a car guy. And this car in particular that was in the movie was actually Paul Walker's, and it was driven by his brother in the movie. So when you see that movie and you see the very ending of it, know that that is actually Paul Walker's car. So we go into Fast 8, and the biggest scene is Dom breaks away from everybody else, and he's working for Cypher, because come to find out, Elena had a kid. All right, now he figured out after he crashes this car, right, that Letty remembers everything and knows that they're married, right? So they know they're married, but later on, if he finds out that Elena had a kid of his, so he's got to save his kid, right? And I just noticed those stripes are all kind of screwed up on there. Huh, that's interesting. I'll have to take that off and paint it again or something. So anyway, in a big scuff, he's driving around the streets of New York, which was actually filmed in Cleveland. You had Letty in this one trying to stop him. You had Roman Pierce in this Bentley. Roman Pierce, he just cracks me up, man. This one, I tried to do something as well as a livery. The top half of this needed to be like a burgundy, and I couldn't get it done. Tej, loves his Mercedes, and yes, this is a livery for this as well. Um, so Tej was in this and trying to track him down, and you had Deckard Shaw and this uh, beautiful Mercedes or Jaguar. Um, so yeah, so they kind of break away. They go to find out about this nuclear submarine, and Roman Pierce, my man, um, he gets to pick out, you get to pick out any car you want to. He picks out this bright ass orange Lamborghini, and we're up in like the North Pole area where they have to go for the submarine, and he picks out this bright orange car. Come on. And then we have Dom's Ice Charger. This is not available on the Steam Workshop, unfortunately, but then we have the Ice Charger from Fast 8. So there are my Fast and Furious cars for right now. I do have a few that I want to build, but I haven't tweaked them out yet to try to figure out exactly what I needed to do. So I hope you like the Fast and Furious builds. So let's jump over to the movie cars, shall we? All right. So welcome to my garage of movie cars. So I started it out with this Dodge Monaco. Of course, this is the Blues Brothers machine. It's awesome build. I had to find this thing because you have to know where to look for it to get it pulled into the game. So I'll just leave it at that. I think the modder actually kept it as a surprise. Just a plain Jane white Challenger. This was from Vanishing Point. Pretty clean, pretty nice, basic. And then we have Hollywood Nights. We have the 57 Chevy and a 1965 GTO, which both these cars I like building. Of course, the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Mercury from Cobra. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Spicoli. Got the Camaro with the T-tops going on right there. Yeah, cool. Gumball Rally. We have the yellow Camaro and the blue Cobra right here from the Gumball Rally movie. And who cannot forget Bullet? This is a straight up DLC. Charger. I think this is, yeah, the 68 Charger. And then you have a straight up Mustang that Steve McQueen drove. And then over here we have Wayne's World, the nice Pacer. I even tried to get the wheels kind of like the way they are in the movie. Kind of strange because they were two different sets and I had to figure that one out. But this is a, it's a V8 driven Pacer. So there we go. And all of them, I tried to put the license plates as close to the movie as possible. Alright, on the next level, of course we have Ecto 1 from the Ghostbusters. We have the Lincoln Continental from The Matrix. Gone in 60 Seconds, we have the first one, and we have the second one. Again, this one is by Payne, and I was hoping that he would put out the body kit for it. But he loves his Mustangs, and he feels like the body kit for this was extremely ugly, so he didn't do it. I can't blame him. If he thought it was ugly, I wouldn't do it either. So, Gone in 60 Seconds, the original movie, and the last movie. This was Cherry 2000. This was a suggestion from one of the viewers. I want to say maybe it was Matthew Moore that suggested this, and I had to look it up to figure out what it is. Check it out. Yes, it even has bullet holes on the back of it because this is just a crazy. This is a mod that I had edited. I had actually raised it and put some different wheels on it. This is nuts. This is just a nuts type of car. Kept the original Ford motor in it. But yeah, that was always fun. Smoking the Bandit, the original Bandit Trans Am, got that one bit, and then Smoking the Bandit 2 got that one as well. I don't think the wheels actually came out that great on it, but it's the best I could do. American Graffiti. Got the 32 Ford Coupe, the 1955 Chevy, and it just seemed like at the time just chrome wheels seemed to be the deal in that movie, just chrome reverse wheels. And again, Nick's Speedshop put out a 1958 Impala and with the livery of the American Graffiti. So we have 3 cars from American Graffiti. Our last 2, John Wick's cars. What can you know, his beloved Mustang here, and then we have the 1970 Chevelle that he drove in John Wick 2. So Wick 1, Wick 2. All right, we are moving on to the last level. All right, now to start things off, Herbie the Love Bug. I mean, and I took the wheels off of the Lindsay Lohan version of Herbie and the Love Bug. So hey, it's Herbie. Yeah, who doesn't love Herbie, right? Risky Business, the Porsche they decided to use as the U-boat commander. Death Proof with oh, what was his name? I can see his name. Death Proof anyway. That, you know, he joked that his car was death proof, but only if you were driving because of the roll bar and all that. So Death Proof the movie. Oh my God, Joe Dirt. So along with this, you know, you had one version of this that was the Superbird over for Fast and Furious edition, and this is the Joe Dirt version. I tried to do as much as I could to it. You know, it even has the like I would call the dead wheel on the front. Yeah, it actually turned out pretty cool. I liked it. Around Christmas time, I was asking for Christmas cards around the Christmas time. So for this one, I built this for the movie It's a Wonderful Life. So it was a Christmas movie at the time, and it was Christmas, so we did that. I did that one up. The Big Lebowski seemed like it'd be a big cult movie there for a while. This Corvette showed up in the workshop, so I figured I'd put it to good use. Shaft, who can't forget Shaft? Shaft in the old days. What I liked about this movie was that they had the old Shaft in with the new Shaft, and I thought that was pretty cool. King of the Mountain, this little Porsche bad boy right here, like that. Tucker, who can't forget Tucker, right? Tucker the movie. This is one of the strangest looking cars I've ever seen. Not a whole lot to it. The engine was in the back. Very cool. It just goes to show that if you weren't into the big 3 car makers, it was really hard to break into the car business. These two. This one is, I should say, what I'm replacing that's in the garage right now. So this is the movie. This is when I did the video. It was guess what the movie was, and a lot of people guessed what the movie was, and the movie was Heavy Metal. So yes, you guys were right, and I loved all the responses. But yeah, Heavy Metal, if you've got that. The red one is from True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger taking this guy out for a ride. And then we have Christine. This is actually being redone right now as a work in progress on the Steam Workshop. So I can't wait to see Fulysic version of it, and I'll have to replace this eventually. So there is most of my movie cars. I do have a few that I have made videos for that I'm not going to show because I have a few other cars on that platform I don't want to show off yet. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get back to the garage. All right, I forgot I had one more level to go through, so here we go. All right, so 48 Hours, Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte. We had the blue Cadillac and of course his black Porsche. Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry. Another Charger. This is a 69 Charger? Yeah, this is a 69 Charger. Um, so, yeah, if you hadn't seen that movie, that was a crazy ass movie, too. Any of the James Bond movies, we've got. This is. A lot of the James Bond movies, he's used this car, this Aston Martin. Phantasm, strange flick. Um, Barracuda, Black Barracuda. Ford versus Ferrari, of course, we have um, this beautiful red Ferrari here and the Ford GT40. Going into some of the TV shows, we have the Supernaturals, or the Supernatural. Supernatural. Yeah, Supernatural. Um, then we have, of course, the Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. Then we have, of course, Kit from the TV series Knight Rider. From the Street Outlaws, this is Murder Nova. Loved Murder Nova. And then this was an animated series called Gunsmith Cats that seemed to get a lot of attention for whatever reason, but I did this car up for one of the people that suggested it on YouTube. So there we go with my plethora of movie cars. Now we'll head back to the garage. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tour of my parking levels. Just to let you know, if you are interested in subscribing, please do, and please hit that notification button, because here soon I'm going to have a new series called Rot to Rad. So what it's going to be is I am going to go to the junkyard and pick out a car out of the junkyard and just build it. The deal is that the car has to have at least under 150,000 miles on it for me to even consider purchasing it. I will build it, make it as custom as possible, and then what I'll do is I'll put it up on the auction block, and you will let me know in the comment section whether to sell it or to keep it. And I will keep the cars that YouTube audience wants me to keep. I will sell the ones that they don't want me to have. So that's what that's going to be. I look forward to starting that series sometime in the near future. Again, I hope you enjoyed this little tour. I know it's not all of them, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what I have in my garage. So until next time, keep customizing. I hope to see you around. Join us over on the Facebook page, and if you do, please answer the questions. Otherwise, you will be denied. Thanks. This is Hurst Quayzar. Good night. I am out.